unlawful acts of disorder and disrupting the peace and sovereignty of the country. He further added that this government aspires to form a cabinet combined and with involvement of all the active political parties in the country. He said the complete cabinet will be announced within 2 days' time. Commissioner of Police Abdullah Riyaz says that people arrested for police investigation in connection with riots on the 8th of this month will be provided all constitutional rights. The Police Commissioner has also called on the Police Integrity Commission and Human Rights Commission to closely observe the handling of arrested individuals. MP for North Marfan constituency Imtiaz Fahmi says the country saw a dictatorship before the first democratically elected government, and what we are seeing today is an unlawful regime brought to power by a coup. He made the statement at a rally held by MDP last night at Tarbaruge in Malé under the theme A Journey to Justice. Greece's cabinet has approved fresh austerity measures demanded by the Eurozone and IMF in return for a 130 billion euro bailout. The draft bill must now be passed by the Greek parliament and approved by European finance ministers. 5 ministers have resigned from the government over the issue, with one junior party in the coalition saying the demands were humiliating. One of the sons of the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi has threatened to lead an uprising against the country's transitional government. Saadi Gaddafi made the comments in a television interview from Niger, where he fled after his father was toppled. He said he still had many followers in Libya, including within the ruling National Transitional Council, NTC.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you again. I think I have met many of you before, so I just wanted to make sure that you have a chance to talk to me a little bit. So I'm not going to make a opening statement. I'll just be open to your questions and then try to respond to your concerns. My colleague here will moderate this meeting. If you could kindly introduce yourself and then ask one or two questions, because I'm getting a little bit old now and may not be able to remember a series of questions if you continue keeping too many questions. So just please limit yourself to one or two questions.
We'll start with the Japanese. You go around.
My name is Arai from a Japanese paper, Yomiuri. I understand there is an arrest warrant for Mr. Nasheed. What will you do with it?
It's not what I will do with it. It's a police process. I just hope that they will not be too enthusiastic about restraining him, because I really want to. I really want everybody in this country to offer former President Nasheed the respect and the safety that he requires. The government is committed to his personal protection. So it also requires a little bit of cooperation from his side, because it will be very difficult for the government to ensure his personal protection for his bodyguards and security. If he keeps on sneaking out and joining demonstrations, then it's really very difficult for us to do the job of giving him that security. So I just hope that he will also provide some cooperation. Our objective is not to inflate what is going on, but to help calm down and get into a dialogue where we can come to an understanding on how we move forward towards the next election.
President, so you mean so far you don't arrest him?
No, he's free. He's moving around, and I understand he was about to travel today to the islands. But he's completely free. I'm sure you are free to meet him anytime you want if he's available. He's able to participate in meetings and speak to anybody, meet anybody he wants. Is that all for your questions? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Mr. President, I'm a journalist from Shanghai Morning Post, China. I have two questions. Number one is, Mr. Nasheed said that he needs a snap election, but you said the current environment was not conducive to holding free and fair election. I don't know why. The second question is about many travelers worried about security in Maldives, especially in Malay. What do you think about it? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With regards to the demand for an election, the Constitution has a solution to the problem, and that solution is when the President resigns or is unable to perform his duties, then the Vice President has to step in. And so what has happened is the constitutional process has been followed. And if you also know that the next election is not very far away. In fact, so about a year and a half before the next election. And people have already started announcing their intention to run. And so preparing for a next election is already underway. But, I don't agree that there is a need to go for a snap election at the moment, and we are not ready for it. The country is deeply divided, and we have the political landscape has many potholes and deep rifts, and so these things have to be healed before we can actually have a meaningful, free and fair election. And my job, I believe, very strongly, is to create that kind of environment, political environment in which we could have a truly free and fair election. I also think that if we try to force election now, we might also get into more conflict in the country. And this is not in the interest of anyone. So I will try to be as fair as possible, as impartial as possible, and try to ensure that while we follow the good programs that we have in the government, we also establish some kind of rapport among the various political actors, and then move towards, to stabilize and to consolidate our commitment to constitutional government, to respect of separation of powers, and also, very importantly, to uphold rule of law in the country. We will not do the kinds of things that we have seen in the past 2-3 years, where there have been blatant and criminal violation of rights of people, basic rights of people. So I think it's really it deserves patience and moving forward in a responsible manner. Thank you.
Hi, Vikas Bajaj from the New York Times. I'll ask you two questions, but I'll give you a chance to answer the first one. Yesterday we heard from Mr. Nasheed and others that there's been significant amount of violence in Adu and other far-flung islands in the country. Your police spokesman said that there hasn't been, the situation is calm. Can you sort of give us a status update as to what exactly is happening in Adu, whether people, the elected council leaders have been arrested or deposed? The mayor has been deposed, which is what Mr. Nasheed said. What is the situation in Adu and the other islands?
Okay. First of all, I would like to call all parties to restrain themselves and not to fuel a currently explosive situation. It is not a responsibility